Hey guys, in this video I'll be comparing these watercolors that I got for my birthday, these watercolor pencils, with the watercolor pencils I had before. And in my last video I accidentally said they were Stabilo, they are actually Stabilo. So yeah, I'm curious to see how they compare. So I've divided up my pencils. To make it more interesting, I'll be using the paintbrush that came in the Fantasia watercolor pencil set. And I chose as similar colors as I could. Black, brown. Now they may not be identical in hue because neither of the sets had any color names or numbers, which is a bit frustrating for me because I do like to sort them by name and identify exactly which color they are. But yeah, these will all need to be sharpened before I can use them. Now I'm ready to go. I've sharpened the Stabilo pencils. I'm going to start off by just coloring in a little area. Okay, so this is a way lighter yellow. I should have taken a lighter yellow from the Stabilos. But already one difference I notice is that the Stabilos are very grainy and dry, almost chalky in texture, whereas these really feel like real colored pencils. So I think that's a bonus. And I think I'll do another one next to the first, and then that will be the one that we make wet, so we'll still keep the dry sample. So whereas the Stabilos have a very soft, chalky lead, these have a more hard and waxy lead. But to compensate, they don't seem to be as highly pigmented in the dry form, so we'll still see how that changes when you add water. In my experience, sometimes once the water is added, you get more highly pigmented colors. But I like these, they don't wipe off. With the Stabilo version, I always have to hairspray the end result to keep it fixed. So now's the time to test it with water. And again, I'm using the paintbrush that came with the Fantasia set, so I can test it. And as you can see, this is very highly pigmented, the Stabilo. And you know what, I am switching to a different brush. The paintbrush here is just not even kids' paint set quality. Yeah. Need to add some more water. I want this to be a gradient. And now for this. Now, I really should have picked a different color to start with, not yellow, because I'm sure the yellow doesn't show up on the camera, even as good as it does in my sketchbook, which is not very well. But it was the first color that I found that sort of matched a different color. So yeah, it spreads nicer. The pigment doesn't stay in one place. So that's a plus for these. But I'll have to test the darker ones as well. So I think now I'll just do all of the Stabilo and then all of the Fantasia and then talk about it a bit more. Okay, so that's it for now with the testing this with water. And first I'm going to say what's good about the Stabilo ones, and that's that you can see the color between dry and wet stays the same. And if you like it, this pattern effect that you can get when you pull out the color gives a very nice texture actually that you could use for many things. Also, it's very highly pigmented, so you can see these splotches are very rich in color. But the downside is they are very flaky, so you can get dirty fingers, get the page dirty, smear everything, and even with hairspray it doesn't get much better. And you'd have to blend the colors before adding the water, so the water doesn't really blend them. All it does is make them wet and tie them into the paper a little bit. Whereas what's good about these, oh, and the other thing that's not so good about these is you can definitely still see the square. You can't really blend the edges out, which you can with these to a certain degree. With Fantasia pencils, I was able to really work on where this rectangle ended, and I got an almost smooth transition from where the pencil was to where it wasn't, and the colors blended beautifully with the water, so they don't have to be completely blended beforehand. Also, I like how smoothly the color gradiates here. The colors aren't very rich, but then again, I've only tried a few now. I haven't tried the entire set. And I really like the way they look. I think they'd be great for some pictures. Now the next thing that I need to test is how they react drawing on wet paper. So I've tried this out now, and I like the way these look dry on wet. I think they have, the pigment sticks much better and you get a smoother line, but at the same time it feathers out a bit. I really like the texture you get with that. These, I think, work best with dry on dry and then adding wet afterwards. Here I tried out the wet blue tip and then adding water on top. As you can see, this stays pretty solid. This doesn't blend out. But these are pretty cool. So now that I've compared them with the Stabilo pencils, I still want to try out all of the Fantasia pencils to see what they look like, which colors I got. So I got 24. So I'll divide this up. I think that would be a good idea. So that way I only use one page. I don't know why they put the white pencil in the set. I mean, it does not show up on normal white paper at all. But maybe on colorful paper it will. Or on toned paper. So maybe that's why it's in the set. I just don't have any toned watercolor paper. I just have toned mixed media paper. But maybe I'll try it out on that later. This is the end result. And I really like the way the colors bleed into water that's placed next to them. And they are a nice selection of colors. They're just not very dark. They're more in the pastel area. So they'd probably be good mixed with normal colored pencils or other watercolors maybe. But for a start, for a base layer or some sketches, these will be awesome. So, this isn't watercolor paper exactly. That light. But I think it still looks great. as you can see, it's gotten pretty wavy just from this little amount of water. But it looks really good, and the white really pops on this. So yeah, I'd say I'm done with this. And I've decided, since this video is going to be so long on its own already, I'll be testing the small watercolor that I got for I'll be testing the small watercolor samples that I got for my birthday in the next video, not this one. So, see you guys next week.